Tamara here from Posh Cat Crafts. Nice of you to join me. In today's video I'm going to do a memory book, and I'm going to use the Tonic Studios dies, and this is their Keepsake memory book collection number 2, which is this one here. I've made an album which featured on Hochanda on the launch show, because these dies were only launched in June 2018, so they're very brand new and they're very strokeable. You have to stroke them. And I've been asked to do a tutorial on that particular album and go through page by page of how I made it. So this is a no holds barred tutorial. I'm going to do everything on video. I may speed things up because you don't really want to see me die cutting, 20 pages. So I might speed that up. But apart from that, everything is going to be in real time. Let's start with the spine. Now, this is the spine here. And it's quite ingenious how they've worked it out, actually. Because you see these notches here? They denote what size album you're going to make. So if you want to make the smallest album, which is this one here, you would need to trim off this part here from that notch there, and then the same on the bottom. Cut off this part so that you're left with that there. That will be your spine for your smallest album. Now, the album sizes. The biggest is 6 inches by 8 inches. I've got them all here. And then we go to 5 and so this one here is 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. Next one is this one here is 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. Then we go to next one is 3 1/2 by 5 3/4, and then the bit smallest one is 2 3/4 by 5. So that's the sizes of our albums that we can make. Now, these ones here are the layer dies. So these are what you're going to cut out all that pretty paper, patterned paper with, to put in our album, and they just fit perfectly, which is brilliant. For this album I'm going to use black cardstock for my base pages. I've just bought this today, so it's quite nice thick card. I think it's the 300 GSM. That's my favourite weight of card to work with when I'm doing memory books. You can go down to 260 GSM, but it's really up to your personal preference. My preference is 300 GSM. I just think it's really nice and firm. So that's what I'll be using today. This is a brand new pack of 50 that I've bought especially. So we're going to start with cutting out our spine. Now, the spine, you will need to make a 6-paged album, you'll need to cut this out twice. If you just want a 3-paged album, again, just cut it out once. So let's start. I'm using my Gemini. I just like it, the electronic die cutting machines. I just think they're for me, they're brilliant, but it's personal preference. So I've also found with this, with using these dies, personally I have to use the metal shim. Normally when I die cut, I would have my clear plastic sheet, then I would have my embossing mat, which is this one here, then I would have my magnetic shim, and then my clear acrylic sheet on the top. But I found when I used that combination, my pages would warp because the pressure was too high in the Gemini. So that's what I'm going to, so I find I get a better cut with using the metal shim. As you can see, mine is a bit manky now, but it's well loved. Okay, so let's start. Now you can get a full cut on the edge. Now you will need to tape it down, but my tape is a bit old. I tend to use it and use it and use it until all the stick goes. Right, so that's one. If it's going to go wrong, it goes wrong on camera, but that's okay. That I can chop that bit off, so that's I'm not worried about that. Okay, the next one. Tape it down. Don't worry about that crack, that's supposed to happen. It just means that it's cutting. Some people like it, some people don't. I just find it satisfying. So, take off my tape. Okay, and there's our second one. And then we've got this piece of card that we're going to put aside because we may need to use it a bit later, especially in our flaps. Right, so I finished with that. I'm just going to move these out of the way because I don't need them at the minute. Double-sided sticky tape is a must. Now I've got a few different sizes here that we're going to use. So I've got 1/2 inch, which is this one here. Okay, don't know if I'll be using that one. That one might be too thick. Then we go down, I think this might be 1/4 inch. Let me find my let's have a look. Yeah, that one is 1/4 inch, if you can see, just out. And I think this one is just over. This one might, yes, that's the same. That's 1/4 inch as well. Okay, this is what it looks like when you've cut them out. Now I'm going to stick them together and then cut them afterwards so that we get a nice straight line. So what we're going to do is, on one of the edges you're going to put your high tack tape. So my edge is going to be this one here, so I'm going to put my high tack tape along there. Burnish it down really well. And the side there. Okay. Use your poker tool to just remove the backing. Okay. Now mine has got just little bits of furry paper on. Just get that off. Okay, right. Then line them up as best you can so that they are straight. like so, and then burnish down. There we go. Then we have our 6-page spine, and that's what the back looks like. There's our join there, but you won't see that because that's going to be covered with the back. So now what we need to do, we need to cut down our spine because we are making the 5 1/4 sized album. We don't need the spine so big. So we're going to cut down the first notch. So we're going to cut from here. So all this is what we're going to cut off. Maybe if I come down a bit, let's see if I can come down just a touch. I'll keep moving that. Maybe that's too close. There we go, go out just a tiny bit. Okay, so there, so see that first notch there, we're going to cut all that bit off. Right, let me just get it lined up. And then cut that off. And then you'll end up then with a nice straight edge. There we go. Same. And again here, nice straight edge. So then that's our cut. There we go. And you see? Right, let me pan you out now before I forget. I did a video yesterday and unfortunately I forgot to pan out, so I had to redo it again. And then I did the same thing again, but not as long. So that's then our spine. Right, so now what we need to do is we're going to do the folds, and we're going to add, I like to add my double-sided tape now because it's a lot easier than if we add it afterwards, because it's flat. And it's so much easier to put tape on flat surface than it is once you've scored and folded it. The side that I've folded here, this is only going to need tape on your hinge bits, which are here. So if, I think it might be this one, it's a little bit thinner. It is. So if I start, I'll show you. And then next one. Okay, so then we're going to miss one, and then we go into the next one. I might bring you down just a little bit, just so hopefully you can see. There, I think you'll be able to see that. Okay, so you miss one and go to the next one. So one more to do, and that's our front part done. Then we need to turn it over and do the back. Okay, our front's done. We move on to the back. So you need to turn it over. Now the back has tape everywhere, and that will become apparent in a moment. So what I'm going to do is the bigger pieces, the bigger columns, I'm going to put our red line tape so that you can see, and then the smaller ones I'll put the score tape on. And the reason for that is it will become apparent when yes, it'll all become apparent when we fold. So that's all our red line tape. Then we're going to put the score tape. Now the score tape is going to go where our hinges are, and then that then keeps them, glues them together. I forgot to just put red line on that last one there. Okay, right, so let's do this one. This takes the time, but it's a lot better doing it now than when you've already folded. Okay, so that's us finished now. We've double-sided each and both sides. Okay, so this is our right side. Okay, so what we're going to do is, as we've done with the first one, we're going to create that lip. So what we need to do now is take off the score tape that's on the back, but just this, the white score tape, because this is our hinge. This is what's going to keep our hinge together. So then what you do is you just push together so that they adhere. Okay, and then that's our first hinge. Okay, and then we just do the next one. Push them down. And take that side off. And then there you have your 6-page hidden hinge spine. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like when it's before, well, that's it, this one bit completed. So what we need to do now, so as you can see on the hinges, we've already put our glue tape on. Now that is so that the pages can fit over the top of those and they stick, and that's the hidden hinge. And on the back, although I'm going to have to, I think what I'm going to need to do with this one, because it's not sticking this bit very good, I'm just going to put a bit of glue. You don't need to do this, I'm just going to do it because I just really want it to double stick. Okay, there, so that will stick. So then what we've done is we've put our double-sided tape already on. So the red line tape, as you can see, this is what we're going to adhere the back of the spine, and to hide all our workings in there, and also that will be the pages as well. So sorry, not the pages, the front and back cover, we'll put over that. So that's that. Right, I'm going to have a tidy up and then get ready, and we will cut out the front and back cover. Your front and back covers. What you're going to need for this is 2 pieces of cardstock, and today I'm using A4, and the size of album that you're making, so you'll need that corresponding die. As I've said in the earlier part of the video, I'm using the 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 die for my album. On the die you'll notice that there are 3 sides that have a cutting edge, and this side isn't. Now this is to allow extra card that is going to go over your spine, but as we cut this I'll show you exactly what I mean. Now what we're going to do is place our die so that the non-cutting edge is facing in towards the extra piece of cardstock. So if you set your die exactly how I've got mine, with the non-cutting edge so it's facing away from you, then you know that that's right. Okay, we just move that out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to tape that down. Make sure that it's straight. I might have to get some more sticky. Okay. Right, here goes. That's the first one that's cut. Okay, as you can see that's cut, and it's left this part already on, but we're not going to do anything with that just yet. We're going to cut the other one and then we will start to assemble. My trimmer with this line, this corner here, and we're going to trim off all the way down, so we trim off this excess here. Okay, line it up so that it is just right. Try not to go all the way because you don't want to cut into your page. Okay, and the same on this. I might just break that bit off. I'm going to turn it round, do it this way. I want to get it right, so I'd rather faff about with getting it into position and then just cut once. Now as you cut you will notice the tension change when you reach the end, and then you should hopefully have a really nice straight edge. Okay, so that's for the first one. do exactly the same with your other piece of card. Right, what we now need to do is we need to find our spine that we did earlier. Now I'm just going to, because it's been very warm here in the UK the last couple of days, my double-sided tape has got really warm and it doesn't seem to do very good if it gets hot. It kind of loses its stick a little bit. So what I've had to do is just add a little bit of glue inside and then our clips just to hold it together. Right, the next part, you need to take off the double-sided tape off your spine. Okay, then what you need to do is we need to line it up so that we've got about 1/8 of an inch gap between your stitch line, which is your the piercing line, and your at the edge of your spine here. Okay, and then I would start with each one, layering it down and then burnishing, layering it down and burnishing down, like so. Okay, and then what I would do is I would get an embossing tool and I would emboss, just draw an embossing line down the edge of the spine and on your page, like so, and then that will give you a nice clean crisp fold. As you can see, nice clean crisp fold. Okay, so on to the next one. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to cut this bit off. So you need to cut it, so there's the edge there, there's the edge of your spine there. So we're going to cut this excess card off. So I just need to bring it down. So just follow the spine as your guide. There we go. So then you should get a nice clean line. Right, excellent. So now we need to put the other cover on, and that is exactly the same principle, apart from now we've got to now put some double-sided tape on here. But what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put it on the edge here, like so. These scissors aren't very good. The other ones. And on the opposite side, like that. Cut that bit off. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a part of the tape off and fold it back like so, and do the same with the other side. Take that off and fold, and then we're going to put glue in the middle. Okay, right, then we make sure you get the right side. Okay, and remember about 1/8 of an inch between the stitch line and your spine. Okay, start at one end, work your way up, and then layer it down. Okay. I'm just going to check to make sure that's perfect on that side. Excellent. Okay. Then we can take this tab out. It was really just to give us a bit of wiggle room, so if we needed to move it, we could do. Okay, again with this, pull it out and then burnish it down. Right, so what we need to do now is we need to cut this excess off. So we're going to need a big pair of scissors for this. And hold on just a second, let me get some better scissors. Okay, and then again we're just going to follow the edge and we're going to cut that off. There we are, and that gives then our lovely neat edge. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just use our bone folder and just create a score line down there and then fold over. So I hope you've really enjoyed this tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up if you have. If there's any questions, please ask. If I've forgotten to mention something, then again please leave a comment down below. I do try and answer all the comments as soon as I see them, good or bad, as long as it's constructive criticism and not mean and nasty. We're all learning here, so you know, there's no place for negativity. So I'm on Pinterest, Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I have a blog. Just type in the search engine either Poshcat Crafts or Tamara Morton and I will come up on those social media platforms. And I've got all that's left to say now is bye bye, and I'll see you in part 2. Bye.